Here comes the throw. He slides.
What if one of the most beloved sports comedies of all time was actually made out of pure frustration? Major League is a story packed full of chaos, wild decisions, and behind-the-scenes moments that sound completely unbelievable. It turned into a massive success, earning $75 million worldwide, but the real-life stories behind it are even wilder than the movie itself. Charlie Sheen secretly took steroids to pitch faster, Wesley Snipes got his role even though his audition was a mess, and the director only made the film because he thought his favorite team would never win for real. If you enjoy discovering insane behind-the-scenes stories like this, be sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on the bell so that you never miss another great video like this one. Now, let's get into the countdown and explore the 20 crazy facts about Major League. Number 20. David S. Ward, the writer and director of the film, grew up in Shaker Heights, Ohio, as a die-hard Cleveland Indians fan, but his team had not won a World Series since 1948. In the 70s and 80s, they were one of the worst teams in baseball, and Ward watched year after year, with his frustration turning into a bold idea. He once told ESPN he figured he would never see the Indians win anything unless he wrote a movie where they did. The real team struggled so much that Ward decided to make the story into a comedy. He put his love for the Indians into Major League, and fans loved the film because it was funny and gave them hope. It showed the kind of victory they had always wanted. The real Indians would make it to the World Series in 1995, 97, and 2016, but lost all 3 times. Ward guessed that it would happen, and once said that he just didn't want to be another Cleveland failure. Number 19. Charlie Sheen admitted to taking steroids for 6 to 8 weeks while preparing to play Ricky Wild Thing Vaughn. He opened up about it in a 2011 interview with Sports Illustrated, where he said steroids helped him to throw pitches faster, boosting his speed from 79 miles per hour to about 85 miles per hour. But there was a downside. He confessed that the drugs made him more irritable than usual. Director David S. Ward made choices that could be seen as cheating. Even though Sheen improved his pitching, it wasn't enough to match real professional speeds. To make it look like he was throwing 100-mile-per-hour fastballs, filmmakers used camera tricks and editing. Number 18. In Wesley Snipes' audition for Major League, things did not go as planned, but maybe that's what made it unforgettable. He had just flown in from another engagement and didn't even have time to change, and while other actors were dressed in baseball gear, he showed up wearing a pilot's flight suit and boxing shoes. It was a strange look for a baseball tryout, but the chaos really began when he had to run bases. The boxing shoes gave him no traction on the dirt, and as he rounded second base, he completely lost control. Instead of heading for third, he veered straight into the outfield, and the scene left everyone in stitches. He finally made it back to home plate, and even though the tryout was messy and he didn't know much about baseball, producers brought him back to the office and said that he got the role. He later called the tryout ridiculous and said the laughter was real. The crazy moment didn't injure him, but instead helped him to land the role of Willie Mays Hayes, a character known for being both fast and charming.
He got there. He seems to have lost some zip on his fastball. Slow curve. Here's a swing and a bouncing ball.
Number 17. Before Major League, Wesley Snipes' biggest role was Martin Scorsese's music video for Michael Jackson's Bad. Spike Lee, one of the greatest filmmakers of the time, offered him the role of Radio Raheem in Do the Right Thing. The film earned an Academy Award nomination and critical praise, but Snipes would shock everyone by saying no. Instead, he took the role of Willie Mays Hayes in Major League, and at that moment, the decision did not seem smart. Do the Right Thing was almost guaranteed to be a hit, while Major League was a comedy with an uncertain future. The risky choice changed everything. Playing Hayes would turn Snipes into a star. His speed in the film made the fans cheer, but the director said they had to film him running in slow motion. The movie's success gave him new chances, and Spike Lee held no grudge. He later gave Snipes roles in Mo Better Blues and Jungle Fever, and Snipes said he's always thankful to Lee. Number 16. The filmmakers used Milwaukee County Stadium for almost everything. That's where they shot the on-field action, the crowd scenes, and even the exciting final moments. But they still had to have a real Cleveland touch. For one important aerial shot, they worked with the Cleveland Indians to make it happen. During a real game July 3rd, the team agreed to pause for 60 extra seconds in the 7th inning, and that gave the helicopter time to fly over and capture the packed stadium with no players on the field. That one shot would make all the difference. It showed over 27,000 screaming Cleveland fans and made the movie feel more authentic. The filmmakers could not use Cleveland Municipal Stadium because of lighting problems in preseason football, which left lines on the field, but they still got what they needed thanks to a perfectly timed moment during the game against Seattle. Number 15. When the production team arrived in Milwaukee July 30th of 1988, Wisconsin Governor Tommy Thompson greeted them at the stadium. After that, around 15,000 locals showed up, and in addition to watching, they were ready to be extras for the big crowd scenes. It was such a big moment that the governor presented director David Ward with a plaque, making an official declaration, and named July 30th and 31st as Major League Weekend in Wisconsin. The director decided to film the crowd scenes first, wanting to capture the community's excitement early on. But he didn't have to worry. Locals kept on coming and filling the seats every day, and the summer of '88 was one of the hottest in Milwaukee in 75 years. They worked around the Brewers' game schedule. Even with the challenges, the support from Milwaukee made it all worthwhile. Number 14. When casting Bob Uecker as Harry Doyle in the film, director David S. Ward thought he was choosing a talented comedic actor. He had seen Uecker shine in Miller Lite commercials and the sitcom Mr. Belvedere, but to him, he was the perfect pick for a funny and recognizable announcer in the movie. What he didn't know was that Bob Uecker was a real broadcaster at first. He only discovered it when they met in person. Uecker had been the voice of the Milwaukee Brewers for almost 20 years and was a Hall of Fame broadcaster. Ward's choice ended up being perfect, and Uecker used his real-life experience to make the character better. He improvised famous lines like "just a bit outside." Many of his best scenes were actually made up on the spot. Ward had unknowingly chosen one of the best baseball broadcasters to play the role, and it worked out perfectly.
2 down, a man on first, and the Indians clinging to a 1-run lead. Ricky Vaughn, the kid that...
Number 13. The line "just a bit outside" wasn't even in the script, but instead Bob Uecker came up with it on the spot. He was describing a wild pitch by Ricky Vaughn, but who would have thought that one unscripted moment would become so huge? Over the next 35 years, the line would become a big part of baseball language, and sportscasters all over the country began saying it whenever a pitch missed by a lot. It became so famous that in 2019, movie critic Richard Roper said every announcer had used it at some point in the last 3 decades. In 2011, Bleacher Report ranked it as the 5th greatest sports movie quote of all time. Number 12. Before the movie, relief pitchers did not have personal entrance music, but then came the unforgettable scene where Rick Vaughn walks out to the mound while Wild Thing blares through the stadium. The crowd in the movie went crazy, and that one moment from a fictional story started something totally new in real-life baseball. Real pitcher Mitch Williams took the nickname Wild Thing and made the song his entrance music almost immediately after the movie came out, and soon other closers were doing it as well. Today, it's a big part of every MLB game, from Mariano Rivera's Enter Sandman to modern players choosing their own songs. The tradition has grown into an exciting show for the fans. Number 11. The filmmakers took things to the next level by casting real-life baseball players, and the most surprising choice was Pete Vukovich. He was a pitcher for the Milwaukee Brewers, but in the film he plays Clu Haywood. Haywood is mean and strong as a first baseman for the Yankees, and was no ordinary player. He won the 1981 American League Cy Young Award, and his tough look would make him perfect for the role. Another real player in the film was Steve Yeager, a former Dodgers catcher, and played the coach Duke Temple. Yeager helped to teach the actors how to look like real baseball players, and many of the extras and background were former Brewers. Milwaukee's County Stadium played a big role in bringing the on-field scenes to life, and with his mix of real players and movie magic, the movie felt like a true baseball experience. Number 10. Many of Wesley Snipes' running scenes as Willie Mays Hayes were not as they seem. He played the fastest man on the team, but the truth was much different. He was not fast in real life, and his baseball skills were not sharp either. To make him look like a speedster, the filmmakers used slow-motion photography, so when he ran, the shots were slowed down to create the illusion that he was lightning fast. Even in the iconic spring training scene, it was reported that other runners were told to jog lightly, but despite it all, the scene had to be slowed down to make Snipes look like an elite player. It was also said that his throwing was not strong. Filmmakers used creative angles to hide it. Later in movies like Demolition Man, things would change. His martial arts moves were so fast that they slowed down the footage, and it made it easier to see.
He slides! He is safe!
Number 9. The movie was made for only $11 million as an independent project and was filmed during one of the hottest summers in Milwaukee. Actors performed in real conditions in a real stadium under the hot summer sun, and the work was tough. Tom Berenger hurt his sciatic nerve from all of the crouching, Wesley Snipes jammed his thumb during a bad slide, and Charlie Sheen's shoulder got damaged from weeks of pitching. The shoot did not make things any easier. For 6 weeks, the crew had to film overnight so they wouldn't interfere with Brewers baseball games, and the grueling schedule took a toll on the entire production, and the director later said it was exhausting for everyone. To make things harder, the modest budget did not allow for the usual comforts that bigger productions could afford. Number 8. Rachel Phelps, the team's greedy owner played by Margaret Whitten, was actually supposed to secretly support the Cleveland Indians. Her plan to move the team to Miami was actually just a trick to motivate them to win. She even said she had picked the team's misfit players because she believed they could succeed. But when test audiences watched that version, they did not like it, and it's because they'd spent the entire movie disliking her and couldn't suddenly see her as the good guy. A month before the movie's release, creators decided to change the ending, bringing her back to film new scenes, and since she was working on another project in the UK, they built a replica of her box seat set at Pinewood Studios to keep the story consistent. This time, instead of celebrating the team's success, she looked furious and defeated as the Indians won. The updated ending was a hit with the audiences and became a version that everyone knows today. The original twist is available only as a Wild Thing Edition DVD. Number 7. With Jeremy Piven in the cast, Major League had more to offer fans than expected. He played a loud and annoying Cleveland bench jockey who heckled during games. He filmed his scenes, ready to bring the character to life, but when the director reviewed the first cut, Piven's scenes just didn't click. They didn't flow well enough with the story, and so that's when Ward made the difficult decision. To keep the movie shorter and more focused, he chose to remove Piven's role completely. Piven's scenes were fully shot, yet no one outside the crew has ever seen them. The footage is still to be unreleased. Years later, Ward even joked in a commentary, saying that he had the claim to fame of cutting a future star. And what a future star that he became. Piven's success would explode in the following decade, especially for his role in Entourage. Number 6. The filming of Major League brought an unexpected challenge for Renee Russo. It was her first big acting role after years of being a model, and she was understandably nervous on set. She couldn't stop moving her hands and arms during scenes, and the constant motion didn't look right on camera. It began to make a distraction. So director David Ward tried telling her to stay still, but it didn't help, and they had to come up with a clever solution to fix the problem. For one of the scenes, they tied her hands down to stop her from moving so much. It was an extreme step, but it did work. Once she realized how still she needed to be, she was able to do it on her own without being tied up again. However, she still needed a few reminders during filming. She wasn't mad about it, later stating that she was thankful for the director's solution because it helped her to feel more confident in her role. Number 5. When pitcher Mitch Williams joined the Chicago Cubs in 1989, the movie Major League came out the same year. The film featured Rick Vaughn, known as the Wild Thing, and by chance Williams already had the Wild Thing nickname because of his wild pitching and unpredictable throws. At Wrigley Field, the organist began playing the song Wild Thing by the Trogs whenever he came out of the bullpen, and it was just like Vaughn's entrance in the movie. Williams didn't stop there. When he was traded to the Philadelphia Phillies, he eventually started wearing the number 99 just like Vaughn did in the film. For the rest of his career, he made Vaughn's identity part of his own. The nickname, the Wild Thing song, and the jersey number became key parts of his baseball routine. In a 2008 interview, he said that when he decided to wear number 99, it wasn't actually because of the movie. Instead, he chose it because he looked up to football player Mark Gastineau.
Okay, Ricky, Haywood likes the hard stuff out over the plate, so must be, man.
Number 4. For the film's big playoff game, more than 20,000 extras packed the stadium, and when the cast ran onto the field, the crowd roared like it was a real game. Dennis Haysbert, who had mostly acted in small television roles before the movie, was completely amazed by the moment. The sheer size and noise of the crowd actually overwhelmed him. Former Dodgers catcher Steve Uecker noticed how Haysbert reacted. Uecker was used to playing in front of major league crowds and went up to him and told him that's what it's like 162 times a year. Haysbert has talked about the moment in interviews. The excitement and energy of the crowd were unlike anything he had experienced before. Number 3. The World Series was meant to be the grand finale in the Major League trilogy. The first movie ended with the Indians taking the American League pennant playoff. The second movie showed them having another winning season, but neither film showed them reaching or winning the World Series. That was not by accident. It was part of a bigger plan. Writer and director David S. Ward had an idea to save the World Series for the third film, which was supposed to be the moment when the fictional Cleveland Indians finally won it all. But instead of his planned big finish, the franchise took a different turn. Major League Back to the Minors came out in 1998 with a brand new cast and entirely different story. Ward was not involved, and his vision for a World Series storyline was left behind. In real life, the Indians did make it to the World Series in 2016, but it was 27 years after the first Major League movie. Sadly, they lost in 7, and the fictional World Series win still has never been on the screen. Number 2. The longshoreman seen in the bar celebration is someone you might recognize today because it's Neil Flynn, and it was his very first credited film role. At the time, he was mostly active in Chicago's improv scene doing smaller television, but here in this movie, his big screen debut was as a dock worker and a Cleveland Indians fan. He appears in the background reacting to the team and saying a quick line, and that's it. It's simple, but if you look closely, there he is cheering along with everyone else in the bar. The role was perfect for Flynn, who's best known for playing characters who are kind of in the background, like the janitor on Scrubs, a role that he played for 8 seasons, or as Mike Heck, the dad in the middle. He built his career by making people laugh, and the first movie role started with him being in the background of a bar scene. Number 1. It's surprising, but a movie that made 7 times its budget has still not gotten a third sequel, even 35 years later. Major League cost $11 million to make, but earned an amazing $75 million worldwide, and became the number 1 movie at the box office in April of 1989, the same week that the real MLB season began. Fans loved it, and it was a big financial success, but despite it all, the franchise never regained its footing. When Major League 2 came out in 1994, it brought back most of the original cast, but Wesley Snipes did not return. The sequel was not nearly as successful, and it disappointed the fans. The director had big plans for the third movie, where this time they were finally going to the World Series. Charlie Sheen called the script pure gold, and actors like Berenger, Snipes, and Uecker were ready to come back, but the third film never happened. Discussions about it stretched out to as late as 2015, and to this day, the epic World Series scene remains unmade. Now be sure to smash that like button since you enjoyed the video, and don't forget to subscribe so that you always know when we upload another video like this one. If you have any recommendations, let us know in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.